everybody, it's oopspaw Kitty, and you may not believe this, but I have finally finished Mother of Pearl. Yahoo! Woohoo! So I am here to do the book review now. So this is Mother of Pearl, written by Melinda Haynes. This is the first book that she ever wrote, and I like the book enough that I would actually go and check out the other books that she has written. Okay, so I'm just going to read you a little bit off the back so you have some idea what the story's about. So it says, Mother of Pearl revolves around 28-year-old Even Grade, a black man who grew up an orphan, and Valuable Corner, the 15-year-old white daughter of the town whore and an unknown father. Both are passionately determined to discover the precious things neither experienced as children: human connection, enduring commitment, and above all, unconditional love. So that's the story. But it's a bit deceiving, the back, because while Even and Valuable are definitely the two key characters in the novel actually has several other characters that are very well developed, that interact a lot with the two main characters, so much so that at some point in the book becomes as much about them as it is about Even and Valuable. That's my opinion. And so really, it's one of those books where you have multiple characters who in the beginning don't seem really to be connected at all. And then through events and through actions of certain characters, they get drawn into each other's lives. And then in this case, to the point where their lives are so intertwined with one another that you can't really distinguish main characters at one point from other characters. They're all really important. So like Combat Oasis, I'm trying to model my book reviews a little after him. He talks about what he doesn't like about the book, and then he talks about what he does like about the book. So I just want to, again, this is kind of like a warning to the reader. You may find a couple things annoying about the book. And first off, you might find it hard to get into the first few pages of the book. Her writing style is a little bit different than mainstream writing novel style. And what I mean by that is that she kind of writes like people talk instead of writing like writers write, if you know what I mean. And so because she kind of writes like people talk and think, and Southern people talk and think, there's sort of like a rhythm to her writing. And so at first, if you don't know that, and if you don't know what to expect, the writing seems kind of choppy, but really there's a wonderful rhythm to it. And after a couple pages, I caught on, and then it really was very rhythmic for me after that, to the point where halfway through the novel I forget that there's any rhythm at all, and I'm just reading and enjoying it. So hopefully that'll be your experience too if you pick this up. Another thing that you might find a bit annoying, and I'm looking at my little sheet, is that it's a point that Jim, Combat Oasis, also brought up in his book review, is that the author switches from, most of the book is written in third person, but she does switch to first person all of a sudden and without warning, in many cases throughout the entire novel from front to back. And at first, again, that is something that is kind of like, it's annoying because it kind of disrupts the flow that you're in. And so you kind of, sometimes you have to reread what you just read to, like, what? Who's the I here? Like, who's feeling this? Is the author feeling this? What character is feeling this? Yeah, so it's a little bit confusing. But again, as you get on with the book, you get kind of accustomed to this. And so at some point, you don't notice it so much. It's still slightly noticeable, but not quite so bad. So I think that those are the two things that you might find annoying about the book. I'm on to now things that I like about the book. Well, first off, let me tell you, I really, really, really enjoyed the book. I know I complain about it's taken me forever to read it, but that's not a problem with the book. That's my problem. I have discovered that my attention span past 200 pages is almost non-existent. So the first 200 pages only takes up like the first 23 chapters of this book, and there are 39 chapters in this book, and the book is almost 500 pages long. And so Yeah, I got through the first 23 chapters and I was so enthralled with the characters and their development and what was happening, and everybody was so interesting and all their different stories were interesting, and I could see how everyone was getting connected, and it was wonderful. It was exciting. These characters were funny and they were strange, and some were bizarre, and some I liked right off the bat, and some of the characters I couldn't stand, and I can't, I don't want to read anything about them. But it was so good. The book, the writing, I feel, is so interesting that I have this terrible habit with books, is that sometimes I skip over large sections of the book if I think it's not relevant. If I think the dialogue isn't important, I skip over it. And lots of, until I get to the stuff which I think is relevant, and then I keep on moving on with the story. Lots of writers have what I consider irrelevant information, excessive irrelevant information. However, with Melinda's writing and these characters in the stories, I never did that once. I wanted to read every single line. I wanted to read every single paragraph. I wanted to read every single chapter. The trouble was with me is that there is so much. She gives us so much story, so much information, so many interesting things. But that by chapter 23, I was like, I was so full of each character's story. I wanted to know the end. I wanted to know what happened to them. And I couldn't believe I had all those chapters left to read before I could figure it out. And this book is just littered with all kinds of funny and colorful statements that made me laugh right out loud. Like totally made me laugh right out loud. Sometimes so much that I had to put my finger in the book so I could keep my place, right? Because I totally had a little chuckle fest. And there are some sad events in the book that did make me cry. Did weep tears, honestly. But the ending is not without redemption, right? And so the ending is not without hope. And so I felt that overall it's a really good book. It's a good read, wonderful characters, interesting story, and I really enjoyed it. So that's my book review of Mother of Pearl, and I hope you'll check it out. And I'll chat with you guys later.
You're just
Bye.
too marvelous for words, like glorious, glamorous, and that old standby amorous. It's all